Good morning, Mark. Mr. Novak, how are you today?
Hey, good you.
Good, thank you. Episode 256. What are we going to have a chat about today?
I am a self-confessed underperformer for the New South Wales HSC test back in 1993.
So that means, Mark, there's no chance for you, obviously. No chance to have any success because you didn't do well in year 12. Is that the case, Mark?
Some would think so. Some would think so. And it's a message out to everyone, all the kids across New South Wales, Australia, Queensland, Australia at the moment are studying. And I just thought maybe if I can give a bit of a bit of insight as to how it worked for you, how it worked for me. I think a lot of people think kids is hard and life is hard and having kids is hard and life is hard. But wow, if you're the ripe old age of 17 or 18 in this time, there's just so much going on. Like if you think about that age, you don't know where you're going to live, who you're going to marry, what you're going to do as a career. Is everything going to be okay? Yeah. Am I going to live up to what mum and dad did or what Uncle Mikey did or all that sort of stuff? It's a very, very tender age. So I thought sharing your story and sharing my story about that age and then fast tracking it today may help some people.
Just one person would be good.
Yeah.
I've always found the funniest, or not the funniest thing, but the most silly thing of all is that they expect you by the age of 17 or maybe 18 to know exactly what you want to do with your life. And that has to be your plan, career set out for the next 60 years. No looking back. It's not as easy as that.
It looks like that. So I think if you're 17 or 18 and you're looking around you at everyone that's at work, has a family and stuff like that, you just sort of think you have this such high expectation that's where you've got to be. But there's a huge journey and there's hundreds and even thousands of decisions along that way that are going to bring you to that point of where mum and dad are, or your cousin is, or someone that you admire is. So it's just really interesting. And for the record, I was probably I went to Cromer High School in the northern beaches of Sydney, and me personally, I was probably in the bottom 5% in terms of scoring, in terms of HSC scoring and the mark that I got. It's so embarrassing that I can't even tell you the mark that I got because I buried it in my brain. But it would have been around, I think it was a percentage back then. It would have been around 30 or 40%. How'd you go?
I did okay in school. It's a bit different in the UK, so you don't sit in HSC and get an overall percentage grade or ATAR at the end. Do year 12 and 13, sixth form. I was a B's and C's sort of student, probably didn't put anywhere near as much effort in as I could have. Cruised along, enjoyed it. School was a fun experience for me as opposed to negative maybe for some people. So I certainly wasn't the most studious person either. And that reflected in my uni as well.
Yeah, right. Now, I just want to say good morning to Michelle, to Catherine Scalercio, to Amal, to Jeff. Guys, if you've got any comments, be part of the conversation. Luke Maroney just passed the HSC. Your life is ever changing. I think to the kids, and we're going to run a career night for a select few because of COVID over the next couple of weeks. That if anyone would like to invite their kids and put them in front of me and Lisa and you, we're gonna do that to help them out a little bit. Probably good to get away from a bit of studies for half an hour, 45 minutes, and ask some questions. But I think what these kids have to remember is that there's two types. There's emotional intelligence, EQ, and there's IQ. Now, what you will find that in the HSC, they're testing IQ. IQ is not the only thing. Depending on what you want to do, is not the only thing that really matters. There is not a measure for EQ out there. So EQ is street knowledge, EQ is a fighter, a survivor, someone who can actually get along, you can put them in a crowd, and they'll get along with everyone. So they got that emotional intelligence to read the play in business, at home, in family, in life, and often some people are blessed with really high IQ, the fortunate few. Not me, but and they're blessed with EQ at the same time, and you've got a real animal there. But
it's funny when you might have a different combination where you've got seriously high IQ, but some people have zero EQ, and it shows in their everyday. They might be the most intelligent, clever person, but if you don't have that EQ as well, it takes a little layer of that away, doesn't it? And
and to these kids that are 17 and 18 that are going into their HSC on the 20th of October, I think you look around your peers the last couple of years, and you see your school captain, and you see your sports captain, and you see your vice captains, and you just peg them as made, and you peg them as, in life, they are just going to absolutely launch it. And it's interesting. Personal message from me to these guys, to you guys out there, is it's certainly not a competition. You run your own race, and I think the big message I'd like to give everyone today is, my dad, I learned this lesson from my dad. He never actually used these words, but I found how to put it into words. He was content because he was wealthy, and he was wealthy because he was content. And I'm not talking about money. So my father was never financially done well, but Dad went through World War II, and he lost his father in the war. He was the eldest of 5 kids. And what I found there is he was just happy to have, he was happy to have bread on the table. He didn't want a mortgage. He didn't need a mortgage. Dad never had a mortgage his whole life. And my dad was a real estate agent.
So this is it, Mark. I was always under the impression that real estate was always your desired goalpost, because I knew that there was real estate in the family. Did you always know that you were going to head into real estate?
No, Strathfield Car Radios.
And what did you do?
I was following my passion of car stereos. So my car, when I was 17, had the biggest. There used to be a thing called Summer Nationals every year in January, February in Canberra. Everyone used to take their hot cars there. I think it's still on, actually. And then part of that, they did wheel spins, they did drag races, they did, like burnouts. Part of that, the Summer Nats, was a car stereo competition. And they measured who had the best quality and loudest car stereo. The car stereo that I actually had in my car ran at 132 decibels at Summer Nats.
Wow.
Yeah, so you could have a Zippo lighter. So a Zippo lighter you could put in the front seat of my car. So a Zippo lighter is, I think it's a kerosene lighter, and it's known not to be able to it's been known to be windproof. So if you were out in the wind, you could light your cigarette. My car could put out a Zippo lighter in the front seat from the base. So that's what I did. So I left school.
When you're a kid, that's what you love, and that's what you enjoy at the time. It seems like a great idea, and you would have had a blast doing it. Yeah,
I loved it. So when I left school, I went to Strathfield Car Radios, and I got a job installing car stereos because I was good at it and I loved it.
Wow. Well, there you go. So what happened then? What was the next step to change and move into real estate from your car radio career?
I got fired.
Okay.
So I turned up. The guy said, "Look, you got 2 weeks. We're putting on 2 guys, you and another guy." I went out and bought a red toolbox that looked like a lunchbox. And I put in a drill, some pliers, a screwdriver, and a hammer or whatever I had in there. And I turned up to work on the first day. I'm like, hey, this is awesome. And then the other guy turned up. He was 35. He was an ex-aircraft engineer.
Right.
So they were giving him cast arrows to install. Now his toolbox was just, it was this beast. There must have been $20,000 worth of equipment in there, and you almost had to wheel it in the door, his toolbox. So, you know, he was going to get the job, or I was going to get the job, and we had 2 weeks. And I just finished my HSC straight in. It was, I think the results came out on the 18th of they come out on the 18th of December this year for HSC students. But you know, the thing with that is, I didn't know.
It's quite a shock awakening. Probably first job out of school, just finished HSC, and then all of a sudden you're coming up against a 35-year-old who's clearly a pro in another industry. So that must have been quite a shock to the system.
Yeah, it is. And I think for people leaving their coming out of the HSC, you got your school marks. I didn't have the marks to get to sort of go to university. If I did, I probably would have done electrical engineering because I like that whole electronic thing.
Yeah.
And it's amazing because everyone's telling you what you should be doing, and you feel you take a little bit away from everyone, and you feel a responsibility to listen to those people, because that's their passion for you. You know what they've envisioned you doing. So. If anyone who's just tuned in, we're talking about not getting the best marks in the HSC.
And there's nothing wrong with that, is there?
Nothing wrong.
It'd be great if everyone could slam it, but look, I think it all comes down to your attitude at the end of the day. Doesn't matter who you are, where you're from. If you've got a good attitude, if you've got your head switched on in the right way, I think you'll probably find yourself a good path in the end. It might be a bit of trial and error to get there, but yeah, there's certainly lots of opportunities for everyone, and it doesn't matter if you
absolutely,
or if you sometimes it's the other way around. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, it is. I think that with these kids that are leaving, finishing high school, and they're deciding not to go to university, and I don't support university or not support university, but I support passion. And one thing that I had 2 people. My cousin Danny and my cousin Steve, they were godparents. Anything they did, I just thought was the best thing in the world. I thought was just, it was just right, and it was well. They were 2, really good looking guys, really smart guys. One went to accounting, one went to computer engineering. They were super fit. They were martial arts experts. They had the coolest chicks hanging off their arm all the time. And I grew up with these guys, and they used to like bash me up as a joke, and I loved it. And they said, I remember Danny said to me, you know what, you'd be really good in real estate, and there's lots of money in it. And I was like, I'd be really good in real estate. Yeah. And there's lots of money in it. Yep. That was for me. That was good enough that was the blessing and the condoning from the guys that mean the world to me to now I go look to get into real estate.
Wow. And where did that take you? What a good call.
Well, I went into 130 real estate offices on the Northern Beaches. I walked into every single office and bobbed my little head around and asked for a job. And I walked into one called in Mona Vale. A guy called Kevin Stacey. Kevin's still around. He looks like Colonel Sanders from KFC chickens.
Yep. And
he eyeballs you with one eye when he talks to you, like he looks down the barrel of one eye. Intimidating guy, smart guy. He said, "Who are you?" And I told him my name, and he's like, "Are you related to Michael?" And I said, "Yeah, Michael's my dad." And he's like, "Oh, lovely man." And he grabbed his wife, and I had a job.
Wow.
His wife worked there as well.
Wow. And then the rest is history, Mark. It's been a good, what is it, 23, 27?
27 years. Let's have a look what Amol's got to say. Whether you're a HSC topper or at the bottom, everyone needs a real estate and finance. What a good, bloody good career. It is true. You know what, guys? And another message, it's only good if you make it. Do you know what I mean? So I think that I was fortunate to, even though my marks weren't strong, I could listen. I was a naughty kid. So I couldn't listen. I didn't really listen to teachers much. But if I loved someone, if I really respected someone, I should say, I would hang on every word and execute to the nth degree. That every word, and I had that EQ. Whereas you could put me in front of a prospective tenant paying rent, whatever, and I could hold that.
Yeah, very interesting. So what do you think, looking back, it's probably a good decision to come into this career in real estate? Have you ever had any point in time where you thought, you know what, actually I could try something else, I could do something different, or has it always been full steam ahead, I love what I do?
Really good question. It's walking the grey line.
Yeah.
And I think that any career that you choose, you do have to walk the grey line. I always try to find different aspects of my business that when I'm walking the grey line that I do, it's not, I often don't blame my career, I blame me. So I'll say, and then I'll find what I want within my career. And yeah, I've done that many times along the way. And I think that's for HSC students. I think it's finding that beauty in what you do and then doing it really, really well. But it's a bit like a marriage. You just got to keep watering the plant, and you just got to keep respecting it. And there's beauty in building brick upon brick upon brick in the same wall. A lot of people, and this is a message to HSC students, is a lot of people just build a lot of brick walls haphazardly everywhere, and they never actually built a proper wall. Or a wall in a house. They will keep changing careers every 5 or 10 years. And like the Vikings did, they would burn their boats. It's a sad thing.
Yeah. And look, that's fine if that's what you want to do. And if you're happy in your life, that's the main concern for everyone, your own happiness and your own personal successes. But if you're going to change career every 5, 10 years, that's okay. But I think the most important thing, as you say, it's finding what you're passionate about, and then you won't have the need to do that. I think it all flows pretty nicely when you're doing something that you love. So
what about you when you did your HSC? So you did it overseas. What did you want to do when you left school?
It's a good question. Again, I'm not entirely sure. I was always in the boat where I never really had the desired outcome. I played a lot of sport. I would love to have been a professional tennis player. I was playing nationally, #1 in Wales for a couple of years. So I played to a good level. I coached all around Europe. So I've had tennis coaching businesses, and I thought to myself, maybe having a business here or a business there, doing tennis, doing this and that. I went to university and studied education to become a primary school teacher. And as we quickly touched on earlier, I just wasn't the most studious person. These were all things that I thought I liked. I had people in the family doing teaching. My mum was a head teacher at TAFE. It all sort of pointed in that direction, but I just never enjoyed it. So unfortunately for me, it wasn't something I pursued and gave my all. So it's taken me a long time to find my feet. And I think a whole part of the last few years for myself has been this level of personal guilt, because I don't know if I've told you this, Mark, but I dropped out of uni in my final semester. So I've got a diploma of education. I did everything that I needed to do. I had 1 unit left. It's a bit more complicated than me just dropping out. I left for quite a few different reasons, but didn't look back at the end of the day. And I was feeling guilty for a couple of years over it. And it took me till I actually found something that I can really stick my teeth into, which has been this job here, working in real estate, working at Novak. It's been actually, now I think it's all the stars have aligned finally. So it's got to that sort of point.
And before we sign off, that guilt is I think you've nailed this whole episode of what we're talking about. That guilt is enough to drive a child at 17 or a young adult at 17 or 18 absolutely nuts, absolutely crazy. That guilt can last an entire lifetime if it's not properly addressed. I won't say that you will kill the guilt ever, but you will minimize it as the years roll on by doing other things that make you happy. And a message out to HSC students: don't feel guilty about your overperformance or underperformance in the HSC, because it is not finite. This is a movie. This thing called life and career is actually a marathon. It's not a sprint. And I think that, you know, if you're thinking that you haven't got a great mark in your career, that's okay, because you're going to run a marathon to the age of 80, 90. What you've done between, 15 and 18 is, yes, it's an important part of your life, but it's if you haven't done that sprint, if you've over sprinted or under sprinted in terms of your marks, it's cool.
That's right. There's no correlation between it. Everyone has their own path, and I think we'll find our feet eventually, Mark.
We do. Can I just turn over to some of our viewers? Luke Morini, great thoughts on guilt. And that guilt can tie over to depression and anxiety. It's an animal, so guys and girls, be careful with it. You might find your passion until 66, says Luke, and you know what? That is all right, just like Colonel Sanders. Colonel Sanders started his wonderful business at the age of 66. Good point, Luke. And I think the measure of success is your own measure. It's not measured by dollars or properties or shares or houses or cars. It's measured by happiness. So guys and girls, make sure you're going to go get that. Real estate is an amazing career, open to men, women, boys and girls, a career where you can jump in at 15 and out at 100. Absolutely, Lise. Michelle, it's great to go and do what you love, no matter what that is. You know what? Another career I considered was garbage removal. I always liked trucks, and I always like, that sort of stuff. So it's, certainly not a glamorous job, but I was passionate about it, semi-trailers and stuff like that. So I hope we've helped people today. Hey.
Yeah, look, I think it's shared quite a lot, haven't we? It's gone a bit personal, quite deep, but yeah, if there's someone that takes anything from this that thinks I'm in the same boat as these guys, then there's one good example in Mark Novak. Hasn't done so well in his HSC. And what did they say at Cromer High School recently, Mark? You've been listed as an honorary famous local.
Someone wrote to Lisa on her Facebook account saying, I'm considering putting my daughter into Cromer High School. I noticed your husband was a notable student. Lisa said, what? And then we jumped on their website. I think there was, in the course of Cromer High, there's 3 notable students, one of them Mark Novak. And I was like, how did I get that? That's like nothing to do with IQ. And I thought that's what school was about. So I was impressed that Cromer High School could actually could acknowledge that, because I would have thought it would have been a bit embarrassing for them.
Are you going to ever go back? Did they ask you to do a chat there, Mark?
Yeah, I think apparently I was meant to go back to this year. That I saw one of the careers advisors asked me to come out on the night where they to talk to the students when they get their diploma or whatever you get these days. But I think they had to delay that a little bit due to COVID for a month or two. So we'll see. But yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
It's all good in the end, that's for sure.
It is.
All right. Well, good chatting, Mark. Have a nice day. And guys, hope it helped. Anything else to say, Mark?
To all the HSC students out there, go hard, give it your best. Yes, don't give up on the sprint, and don't give up on the marathon. Do what you love, and it's not an IQ test, it's an EQ test, and life is a marathon, but do what you love. And what you said was very, very strong about that guilt. It's okay to feel that guilt. and but just make sure you're doing stuff that makes you happy, so that guilt gets smaller and smaller as life rolls on. Because if you don't do other stuff that makes you happy, then that guilt will just keep getting bigger.
Yep. So we our last thing I'll say, Mark, we did say we'll do a night for teenagers, young prospects looking to start a career in real estate. So look out for social media. Next few weeks, we'll announce maybe a night to have people in. There will be limits on numbers because of COVID, but if you are watching and you've had any interest in this, stay tuned to the social media on Novak's, and we'll try and get something out.
And if you are watching, put your details in comments or direct message us, and we'll come out to you with that date that we're going to do. So it'll be a great night, a fun night. You'll learn a lot, and it's okay.
Give it a crack.
Yep.
All right.
See you, buddy. Cheers, everyone. Love you. Bye.